Good morning, mathematicians. I am Miss Johnson. I serve the Mississippi Department of Education as your K through 12 Mathematics Content Director. And today we will be doing a third grade lesson in our Moment in Math with Miss Johnson. Today our standard will be Grade 3, Numbers in Base 10, Standard 1. And the standard reads, use place value, understanding to round whole numbers to the nearest 10 or 100. So let's first talk about numbers in base 10. That's what we need to understand first. So here we have what we call base 10 blocks. And our base 10 blocks are numbers, are math tools that we use to understand or kind of see the concept of base 10 blocks. So here I have 1 unit cube. Here I have 1 unit of 10 unit cubes. And here I have 1 unit of 100 unit cubes. So you may say, Miss Johnson, well, why is it called base 10? Let's look a little further. Now, later on this year, we'll learn how 1 can be broken down into 10 parts. But this 1 is made up of 10 parts, and we call those parts decimals. This 10 is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What's that magic number? That's right, 10. So a unit of 10 is made up of 10 unit cubes. What about our unit of 100? Why is this called a base 10 block if it's made up of 100 unit cubes? Well, let's look. This 100 is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 units of 10. So 10 units of 1 is equal to 110. 10 units of excuse me, 10 units of 10 is equal to 1 unit of 100. And this is why we call it base 10. Now, let's go back to our standard. The standard also says use place value to understand to round whole numbers to the nearest 10 or 100. Let's look at our place value, because before we can really get into our standard, we have to be able to understand place value. So here I have my 1s, my 10s, and my 100s. My 1s is the number itself, 4. So to remember my 1s, it's just the number itself, 4. So let's look. What is 4? It's 1, 2, 3, 4 unit cubes. So when I say 4, I'm in my 1s place because it's just the number. Let's look at my tens place. If I put a 4 in my tens place, it's no longer just 4. It's 4t. Now, how can I remember that that's in my tens place? Well, listen again. 4t. That t begins what word? Tens. So let's think about it. 20, 30, 4t, 50. So I keep hearing that T, and that reminds me that I'm in my tens. So what does that 4 in that place mean? Well, it means that I have 4 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 tens. But does that look like my 4 in my ones place? No. 10, 20, 30, 40. Each one of these units is 10, but each one of these units is 1. Let's go to my hundreds. 400. Well, what do you notice? When I say 400, 100 is in the words. So that helps me to remember that my value is 400 and not 4. Let's look. 1, 2, 3, 4 units. That's 4. Well, 4t has 1, 2, 3, 4 tens, which is 10, 20, 30, 40. 400 has 100, 200, 300, 400. So what we see is I may see a 4 in each one of these places, in my ones, in my tens, and in my hundreds, but how I say it helps me remember the value. So let's say it. 444. Say it again. 444. 400 tells me I'm in my hundreds place. 4t tells me I'm in my tens place. And of course, 4, just the number by itself, tells me I'm in my ones place. So now that we have a better understanding of place value, let's look into the next part of our standard. The standard says to round whole numbers to the nearest 10 or 100. Round. What is rounding? Do you know? Let's look. Rounding. Rounding is converting a number to the nearest base 10 number ending in 0. Rounding. What does 0 look like? When you think round, what's round? Have you seen anything round? Tell me something that you've seen that's round. A circle. Good. That's very good. Let's use that. A circle. A circle looks like what number? Do you see it here? That's right, a 0. So when we think round, think of a number that ends in 0. Okay? Now, so rounding, we're going to convert a number to a base 10 number that ends in what? 0. Good. Round. Think round. Okay? So it's based on place value, okay? And it's close or near to the original number. All right, there's that word near, nearest, okay? It has to be close to the original number. Now, you may say, Miss Johnson, I've never really heard anyone say, I'm rounding this number. No, but you have heard people round. Let me give you some examples. Here's another word, about. About. There are about 30 students in my class. About. Look at my number. What does it end in? 0. Good. That tells me that I'm what? I'm rounding. So did I say round? No. But the word about says that I'm almost there. Here's another word. Estimate or estimate. We estimate 50 people will ride the bus. Look at my number. What do you see? That's that round number again. 0. Good. So 50 is rounded. So when we estimate, we make a guess that's very close to the real number. Approximate. Approximately. Approximately 580 people attended the graduation or the concert. Approximately 580 people attended the concert. 580. Again, 0. So do I know exactly how many people attended? No, but I'm taking a good guess and I'm getting as close as I can and I'm rounding that number off. Okay? Almost. Almost. That's a word we hear. The seating was almost at 800. Look at my number. What do you see? Those round numbers again. What are they? Zeros. I don't know exactly how many people were seated, but I know that we were almost at 800. So these are words that we hear that let us know that our parents and other people around us are rounding, okay? So when we hear those words and we see that round number at the end, then that lets us know that we're rounding. Now let's look at some steps to rounding. Remember, we said that rounding is based on place value. So step 1, we need to find the place. What place are we rounding to? We have 2 examples, 216 and 58. 216. What's underlined? The 200. What did I say? 200. So what place is that? That's my hundreds place. So I'm rounding to the nearest 100. Here, what did we say? 58. Let's say it again. 58. What does that tell me? T, 50. That's my tens place. So I'm rounding to the nearest what? Tens. Good. Now let's look at step 2. Step 2 says, observe the digit to the right. So if I'm looking at 216, what digit is to the right of that? What do you see? That's a 1. That's the digit. But is that a 1? Think about it. 16. 16. Teen. Sounds like what? 10. Good. So this is a 10. So I'm looking at the tens to determine which 100 I'm closest to. Let's look at 58. What's behind the 50? There's an 8. There's an 8. Let's say it one more time. There's an 8. Did I say anything behind it? No. So what place do you think that is? That's right. That's the ones place. So when I'm looking at finding the rounding off to the nearest tens, I'm looking at the ones place. All right? Let's look at step 3. Step 3 says, then we determine which value is nearest. So if I'm looking at 216 and I'm looking at the 1, look at my little roller coaster here. So as I progress up the roller coaster, I'm closest to the 0. Once I top the hill, I'm halfway there, right? And now I'm closest to the 10. So let's look. What is our range for 200? I need the nearest 100. So my range is 200 and 300. Okay? 10. 210. Because the 1 represents a 10. So now let's look. If this is 200 and this is 300, 10, 20. 20 is closest to what? My 200. And that's how I get 200 here. What do you notice? What happened? What happened to the 16? We rounded it, or we turned it into zeros. Round numbers. Let's look at 58. What's my range? 50. Good. 60. Awesome. Okay? Now let's look at my ones. So if this is 50 and this is 60, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What am I closest to? 60. Good. And that's why we round to 60. What happened here? Something happened. Well, the 5 changed to a 6. And then we round it off. That takes me to a rhyme that I learned when I was in 3rd grade that kind of helped me remember what was going on. So let's look at it. Here's my rounding rhyme. And it says, 4 or less, let it rest. That means that we leave the number where it is. But if it's 5 or more, let it soar and add 1 more. I'm going to read that one more time. If it's 5 or more, let it soar and add 1 more. So let's go back to what we were looking at. And here we have 58. And since it's the 8 is more than 5, we add 1 to the 5 and round it off. 60. Let's practice some more. Let's start with our roller coaster. Now, here's my number, 81. What is this I'm rounding to? What place is that? 81. Right, so that's my tens. So if 80 is the tens that I'm starting with, what is my range? 80, good. To what? 90, good. So I'm looking at 80 to 90. Now let's look at the number behind my tens. And what do I have? A 1. Good. So now let's see. We ride the roller coaster. We're at 1. Which of our range are we nearest? That's right. We're nearest the 80. So what do we round to? 80. Great. Let's do one more. Here I have 487. What did I say? 487. What's my range? 400. Good. And what else? 500. Awesome. Now, let's look behind the 400. What do I see? 80. 80. So let's find 80 on my roller coaster. That's right. 10, 20, 30, 40. Oh, we're passing the 50. 60, 70, 80. What are we nearest? That's right. So 487 rounds to the nearest 500. So you may say, well, Miss Johnson, I don't have a roller coaster in my classroom. How am I going to do this at school or at home or when it's time to take my test? Well, that's easy. I want you to look at our roller coaster in here. What is this? Good. It's a number line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my roller coaster and I'm going to bring in a what? A number line. And a number line is something quick and easy that you can jot down on your scratch paper to help you figure out how to round. Let's look at some numbers. Here I have 69. 69. What do you hear? 60. So that's my tens place. So tell me, what's my range? 60. And what else? 70. Good. Now, 9. What place is that? Ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I passed 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. So what am I closest to? That's right, the 70. So 69 rounds to what number? 70. Good job. Let's do one more. I want to do this one. Let's do 231. What's underlined? 200. Great. So, what's my range? 200. What's over here? Good. 300. What's directly behind my 200? 30, 30, 30. Okay, so let's move. 10, 20, 30. Good. What is it nearest? 200. Awesome. We're doing so great, I think it's time that we look at an assessment item. Here we have, which number rounds to 60? We have 48, 55, 65, and 67. 48, my range is going to be 40 and 50. That doesn't work because I need 60. 55, my range is going to be 50 and 60. That may work. 65, my range is going to be 60 and 70. And 67, my range is going to be 60 and 70. So I know for a fact that A won't work. Now let's look at the numbers behind. 55, that's over my roller coaster. So the answer here would be 60. 65, that's right, that 5 would be on the other side of the roller coaster. So that would be 70. So C does not work. What about 67? That 7 also would be on the other side of the roller coaster, and that would give me 70. Well, awesome, guys. You have done a wonderful job today. And I want you to take time out to notice when you see rounding going on around you. So until next time, this has been A Moment in Math with Miss Johnson.